In 1970 at the Union Isolation Facility, room 1859, Andy bit one of his fingers and scribbled birthday greetings on the wall using his blood for a young girl sitting in the adjacent room. The girl was highly intrigued and overjoyed. On August 8, 2020, in the middle of the night, a girl was walking on a satellite. She then monitored a ship sailing in the Sea of Japan. Inside the ship, Andy was there with Fuko. The ship was fully fueled, so they would reach Vladivostok in no time. While Andy was talking, Fuko was crouched behind him, frightened as she recalled Shen's words. Andy, indifferent to Shen's words, pulled Fuko out to enjoy the journey. Fuko cried because they could be attacked at any moment. While Andy was pulling her, suddenly an alarm rang out. Missiles were falling towards the advancing ship. An interceptor aircraft came from the ship and started firing at the ship Andy was on. Andy calmly controlled the ship to evade the aircraft's bullets. He said that as long as they continued like this, the journey to Russia would go smoothly. Fuko, thinking pessimistically, said that the ship would be destroyed before they reached Russia. However, if that were to happen, they would escape the situation using Fuko's bad luck. The ship Andy and Fuko were on swerved, followed by several fighter jets. Andy then explained his ability, severed one of his arms, and went to the side of the ship, firing his detached arm like a grenade. While holding the arm, he aimed it at one of the aircraft and instantly detonated the fighter jet. Fuko was amazed by Andy's success, thinking they had successfully joined the Union, but she quickly dispelled her assumption because they needed to eliminate individuals with gold emblems first to gain entry into the Union. The emblem they possessed was a golden symbol, just like the two individuals they had encountered yesterday. Andy remembered some people with this emblem. The first was the one who made an unbreakable katana. The second was a man who resembled an engineer experimenting on himself 50 years ago. The third was the woman who captured him 50 years ago, a woman capable of creating invisible barriers and who once trapped Andy's head in an invisible wall she created. It would be a tough fight if they were to face that woman. Andy then disembarked from the ship, and he didn't care who they were facing. All he needed to do was arrive at the lake and eliminate the target. Moreover, they could overcome Fuko's bad luck, even though they didn't know how. After they'd boarded the ship, Andy wanted to take the time to understand the rules of Fuko's bad luck before the situation became complicated. Fuko then screamed that Andy would only do something indecent to her. Andy didn't deny it and admitted to it, which surprised Fuko. He then continued that it wouldn't change his feelings in the slightest. However, with confidence, Andy stated that it would happen because Fuko was obedient. The woman monitoring the cruise ship that Andy and Fuko boarded chuckled softly, while stating that Andy never changed because he was the only man in the world she could love. The woman then launched a large bullet from the satellite she was on, hitting the cruise ship. With confidence, she said that Andy would be fine and would return to her. On August 5th, Andy, who was submerged, wondered what was attacking them. He then saw a massive air bubble rising from the seafloor and headed straight for the center of the bubble. As he dived to the ocean's bottom, he saw Fuko unconscious. He immediately went under the wreckage, pinning Fuko's leg, and Andy cut both of his arms to push the debris away quickly and grabbed Fuko's body, leaving the wreckage to head to the surface. Beneath the brightly shining moon, Andy and Fuko found themselves on top of the cruise ship's debris. Fuko coughed up the water she had swallowed during the ordeal. Still groggy from her unconscious state, Fuko believed she was trapped under the ship. Sensing the presence of an enemy, Andy said they would be captured soon and instructed Fuko to raise her hands. A spotlight from a fighter jet shone on them as they raised their hands. Curious, Fuko asked Andy if he intended to surrender. Andy smiled and replied that he was stalling for his little experiment, which would determine if Fuko's bad luck could be controlled. Surprised, Fuko denied that her bad luck could be controlled. According to Andy, Fuko couldn't control it, but he had a hypothesis. While Andy explained, the fighter jet continued to circle them. Andy clarified that Fuko's previous bad luck incidents were phenomena that utilized things in their vicinity. However, when it came to lightning strikes and meteors, it drew something from afar. Fuko reluctantly pulled something from a distance. This happened because hair clippings and a kiss were personal items with inherent value. This time, Andy had found a source for an equivalent bad luck attack. Confused by Andy's words, Fuko was taken aback by his sudden rise. Andy calmly explained that he had performed CPR on her and her bra had been in the way, so he had shifted it. Fuko was shocked by Andy's statement. With a smug tone, Andy then said that he had done it mouth to mouth. Accompanied by an explosion from the seafloor, Fuko's face turned bright red and she screamed at the top of her lungs. They were both propelled into the air and landed on the fighter jet that had been observing them. Andy didn't waste the opportunity and used his special attack, killing the pilot of the fighter jet. He attacked with swift slashes reinforced by the strength in his arms, a skill he learned from a Japanese sword master. Andy tried not to damage the cockpit. Since the pilot of the fighter jet had already died, the plane fell, piercing through dark clouds. Just as it was about to crash into the sea, the plane pulled up and rapidly ascended. Andy and Fuko managed to enter the cockpit and take control of the fighter jet. Andy, with a smug tone, asked for Fuko's opinion and stated that Fuko's bad luck was not an accident but their best trump card to turn the situation around. Upon hearing this, Fuko fell silent. After acquiring a new vehicle, Andy decided to continue their journey and change their destination to Lake Baikal. The plane they were on flew over dense forests. However, suddenly, they heard a self-destruct warning from their plane. Seeing this, Andy pulled a cord and the cockpit opened, launching their seats into the sky. Shortly afterward, the plane exploded. Fuko was confused about why the plane suddenly exploded. Andy explained that they knew they were stowaways. Fuko then screamed that they would fall, but Andy reassured Fuko while lifting her over his head. Andy planned to land according to his plan, which involved landing using parts of his body. Fuko heard the sounds of Andy's bones cracking, but she paid no heed. After successfully landing, Andy warned Fuko to watch her head because their targets might be nearby. Fuko then stood up and was captivated by the breathtaking view in front of her, the clearest and oldest freshwater lake in the world. Many people from the organization were gathering there to investigate UMA. Fuko was excited to see such a beautiful sight, as she had always been a closed-off person. Andy patted Fuko on the back and told her to go sightseeing while he looked for his war comrades. As Andy left, Fuko called out to him and asked who their opponents would be this time and what if they could talk to them. Without hesitation, Andy replied, "Kill them," and said that his plan would remain the same. Andy quickly approached Fuko and asked her about her dislikes regarding food. Fuko replied that she didn't like wasabi. Andy then decided to take Fuko to a cool restaurant, pushing her to go alone for a while. Fuko, who was thinking that she had just met Andy and now found herself in Russia, was approached by two men who invited her for tea. Fuko, not understanding their words, then ran away from them. As she ran, she thought that she couldn't enjoy her body and considered that if she hadn't met Andy, she might be dead by now. While walking, Fuko heard the sounds of a girl moaning while holding a brush. Fuko approached the girl who was painting. Fuko then saw the painting and became interested in it. The girl with pink hair was surprised and shouted with joy upon seeing a young Japanese girl beside her. The girl then showed off her high school uniform and asked for Fuko's opinion. However, Fuko, who had never been to school, didn't understand. The girl expressed her regret about it. Fuko then looked at the girl's painting and praised it. The girl magically produced painting supplies, which surprised Fuko. The girl then invited Fuko to paint with her. Fuko tried to decline by saying she was waiting for someone. The girl responded by asking if she was waiting for her boyfriend. Fuko then imagined Andy's face and blushed. Fuko and her new acquaintance then painted by the shores of Lake Baikal. While Fuko was painting, the girl called Fuko a lucky girl and asked whether she liked things that change or things that stay the same. Fuko, puzzled by the nickname, was surprised. The girl then mentioned that she called her a lucky girl because of the hat Fuko was wearing. She explained that she preferred things that don't change, that aren't influenced or affected by anyone, which is why she liked art. She could capture the ever-changing world, like a painting that doesn't change as we create it. Fuko replied that it was a tough question and asked for some time to think about her answer. On the shores of Lake Baikal, under the dim lantern light, Fuko successfully finished her painting and the girl asked to see it. Fuko, feeling a bit shy, showed it to her and asked her not to laugh at the result because she added a few things. The girl then looked at Fuko's painting and asked what the shimmering thing around the moon was in the painting. Fuko replied that in space, there was nothing but the moon and the sun, so she gave the moon some friends. Fuko then answered the girl's previous question. She explained that for a long time, she couldn't change, but 4 days ago, she met a very strange man, and after going through what had happened, the man helped her change. She appreciated having someone who changed her and allowed her to change. The girl praised Fuko's answer, removed her hair tie, and walked toward the lake. Seeing the girl standing on the water made Fuko surprised and speechless. Andy then ran toward the floating water and leaped toward the girl to attack her. However, the girl easily blocked Andy's attack, causing him to be thrown and land in front of Fuko. After landing in front of Fuko, Andy boasted about his perfect landing. Fuko then asked about the identity of the girl. Andy answered that the girl was the one who captured him 50 years ago, Gina. This revelation shocked Fuko. Gina then summoned her Barrett and decided to have some fun with Andy and Fuko while creating a staircase from the floating lake water. Gina descended the staircase and learned that Andy and Fuko wanted to join the Union and kill her. She suggested that she should change them first. She said this with a small laugh under the moonlight.